Good morning, Bucknutters. It is Tuesday, January 13th, 2026. I am Dan Rubin. This is the Bucknuts Morning Five and Change, joined as always on Tuesdays and Thursdays by Garrick, Hodge, and Mark Porter. You guys missed the first part of the show. We talked all about the Bears. That was kind of profane. Garrick is living the dream, but we digress. All right. Now, was that a Monday? Are you one of them? Are you one of the people who during the draft was like, this isn't going to work out? Nobody likes Ohio State anymore. The sky is falling. And then you're like, the transfer portal's terrible. No one likes the Buckeyes. Patience is a virtue, my friends. Yesterday was borderline overwhelming. Thankfully, Garrick is not paid in days. He gets credit for that because that would be nuts. 5 commitments yesterday. All interesting, all their own story. So we're going to get into all of them right now. Then we're going to discuss how this affects the team because everything is fluid. To say everything is fluid would be an offense to things that are fluid now. I've never seen anything like this. We talked about it yesterday. It's like, what if the NFL went to complete free agency, everyone got a 1-year contract, and you had 170 teams? What would that look like? And by the way, you started free agency during the wild card round. Some of the goofiest rules we're going through right now, literally of all time. Someone will write a great book about this. Hopefully it's Garrick. All right. We're going to go player by player. I want to start with the Alabama duo. James Smith, and I think it's Qua Russaw.
Yep.
Okay. Not spelled that way, by the way. 2 defensive linemen. Here's what makes these guys interesting to me. It's not as prevalent as it used to be, but there used to be this thing in recruiting called the package deal. These 2 guys would go to a camp together or 2 high school, and they're like, we're going to the same school no matter what. They never went to the same school unless they were twins. James and Qua went to the same high school, went to Alabama, it's Montgomery, Alabama, I believe, and now are transferring to the same school together. So these guys are the true package deal. What comes in the deal, Garrick?
Well, it's kind of funny that they were a package deal in their transfer portal recruitment because they were also a package deal in their high school recruitment.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
If you go all the way back, these guys are truly best friends. They go to the same high school together in Montgomery, Alabama. They commit to Alabama on the same day. So, Dan, it is no surprise that they went into the portal together and choose a new school in tandem as well. We'll start with James Smith. He is considered the 7th best transfer prospect and the best defensive line prospect in the transfer portal by 247 Sports. So you want a top guy that's got all the talents, all the measurables, etc. You've got him in James Smith. He had what you might call a breakout year at Alabama last year. It was his first season as a full-time starter for the Crimson Tide. Played for 3 years with Alabama. He'll have 1 year left of eligibility. He recorded a career-high 26 tackles, 6.5 tackles for loss, and 2.5 sacks. Now, I don't want to get everybody too excited thinking that he's going to be, Aaron Donald coming in here at Ohio State. So I reached out to Bama 247 writer Mike Rodick, who was generous enough to give us some thoughts on both of the Alabama guys, because I wanted an honest assessment of a guy that had watched him for 3 years. And I'm going to read you verbatim what he sent me. Smith played mostly 3 technique defensive tackle for Kane Womack, that's Alabama's defensive coordinator, the past 2 seasons, showing some potential as an interior penetrator in 2024 before entering a starting role this season. He was not much of a difference maker as Alabama would have hoped, and it's not surprising there was a change of scenery for his senior year. Maturity and discipline on and off the field are his biggest keys for Smith to unlock his potential. He's shown a knack for bad penalties and has spoken openly about needing to show more consistency in his work habits. Now, this is back to me talking. On one hand, needing consistent work habits probably isn't the most ideal thing to hear for someone entering his final year of college. But guys, do you know the most recent Ohio State uber-talented defensive tackle that was labeled the same thing as needed to show better work habits, needed to get better at conditioning? You guys know who I'm talking about?
I'll guess.
Take a guess.
Tyleik Williams?
That's him, Tyleik Williams, who Tyleik was very honest about himself his first couple years at Ohio State. Like, I need to get in better shape. I need to find better work habits. And boy, did he ever, with Ohio State's strength and conditioning program, learning under Larry Johnson. And now James Smith is going to have the opportunity to do the same thing at Alabama.
I don't think the presence of Matt Patricia hurts this at all.
Oh, definitely not.
He's known for the defensive, the nose guard. Oh, we're getting into labels here. The 1 technique, the 3 technique. He's done great with defensive tackles. Just look at what we did here and what we've done over the past, but he's done that. Here's the Russaw. Now, this guy's name is spelled Quarussa, and it's Qua Russaw. So if I'm screwing that up, I apologize to the Russos or however you pronounce it. Here's why he's really interesting to me. Hold on a second. We'll look at James Smith. But I want to say this about Russaw before we get into it. Kane Womack said, in a room of freaks, he's the freak, meaning physically gifted wise. Russaw is up there. He's just been hurt. Actually, you're right, Mark. Let's do the video of James Smith. Let us know what you see here.
It's like you're that kid on Christmas morning that just keeps opening presents before he can stop and enjoy each one and take a picture with his family. So before we start talking about all these guys, and let me back up a step. Last year about this time, I don't think people like flip-floppers, especially when you're on tape. So I know we're on tape saying this last year that I'm done worrying about the Buckeyes. Okay. Like I left town on Thursday and I think Columbus was on fire with, oh my gosh, our team's gone. And I, get the text as I'm coming back from North Carolina last night, like check out all the guys that we landed. No longer will I worry. No longer will I stress about salary cap, what we're spending. Watching these guys, I hope that you get that feeling too, that we're going to be okay. Like we're going to lose a few, but we're going to get a few. Push play on this year. I was very impressed with. Sorry, what's going on here? Not on the right screen. I got too many screens here.
James Smith is so talented, he makes the video clips freeze on screen.
Yeah. Okay. So
thank you. Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah. Here he goes. 3 technique. You're right. He's got some penetration here. You'll see it. Wearing 23 makes him look ultra athletic. You see the penetration there into the backfield. This is a nice tape of him. I was really impressed with the versatility. He could be a 5 technique if you need it here. There's a couple plays where you're going to see him out running in space, and he looks athletic. Here he is on the edge. I'm sorry, he is in the middle there. But overall, I can't believe players like this are leaving Alabama. I was shocked to see 2 of them. When we watch Qua on the next clip here, or on the next guy, you're going to see the same things. Why are these guys leaving and bailing on Alabama is the real question. They're quality players. They're going to be draftable NFL players, and we're going to, rent them for a few years, and hopefully they have the same impact that we did with the other Alabama crew.
Yeah, let's talk about Russaw now. I reached out to Cooper Patagna. Cooper Patagna is I don't want to say he's the Andrew Ivins of the transfer portal, but he is, and I don't know if anyone will really get that. Andrew handles the recruiting, and they're also a tandem on a lot of stuff. But Cooper is the one who kind of grades everybody for the portal. So I was trying to get a sense of how good Qua Russaw was. If Zion Grady had entered the portal, he would have the same grade as Qua Russaw. That's what I was told. So if you want an idea of how good the player is, or the potential, Zion Grady, if he went into the portal, I mean, we might not even have done the show because I'd have been in tears. So that's what you're getting. And Smith is rated higher than that. So just a little point of reference. Anything else you want to say on Qua before we give the video here, Garrick?
Yeah, but before that, we buried the lead. The last 3 Alabama transfers that Ohio State has taken, Julian Saint, I know he was barely moved into his dorm room before he got out of there, but he still counts as an Alabama transfer. Heisman finalist. Seth McLaughlin, Remington winner. Caleb Downs, national champion, and obviously going to be a first-round NFL draft pick, and Jim Thorpe winner. So that's 3 for 3 on taking Alabama transfers. If they go 5 for 5, Ryan Day is going to need to buy somebody in Tuscaloosa a steak dinner, right, guys? But all right, so in terms of Qua, like Smith, I think that Qua brings a heap of experience with him to Columbus. The difference is that it's a little bit less. Smith has played in 37 games over 3 years, whereas Qua has played in, I believe, 22. There's been some injuries there. But I guess if you're looking for a silver lining in that, Qua will have 2 years of eligibility, whereas James is a 1-year rental. Now, I also got Mike Rodak of Bama 247 Sports' thoughts on Qua as well, and I will read you those verbatim here. Qua seemed like a natural fit for the outside linebacker position in Nick Saban's 3-4 defense, but has played the Wolf outside linebacker position in Kane Womack's 3-3-5 scheme the past 2 seasons. He showed some promise in 2024, making some disruptive plays and forcing turnovers. There were high hopes for Qua entering 2025, but an early season foot injury kept him out until late November, and when he returned, another player had already locked down the starting role at that position. I covered Matt Patricia in New England, and I think Qua will be a good fit at 3-4 outside linebacker. He should be sturdy to set the edge while also allowing to show some athleticism. Staying healthy will be a big key for Qua, who was also set back by an injury in 2024. So this is a guy, back to me talking, this is a guy that started Alabama's first 3 out of 4 games, gets hurt against Georgia, doesn't come back until late November, and then plays 105 snaps in Alabama's last 5 games, kind of as a rotational player. So that's probably why he left. He kind of saw the writing on the wall and needed a fresh start, even though this guy is tools up everywhere and has all the traits that you're about to see on this film. But take it away, Mark.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing on tape right here. You'll see him lined up at outside linebacker or defensive end for these first couple plays. There are senior and junior highlights on YouTube. On senior, it looks like he's playing in space a little more, which kind of speaks to the athlete he is.
Junior and sophomore.
Oh, junior and sophomore. I'm sorry.
He's a red shirt too, so he's kind of one of those guys that's been injured. Like I said, 2 years left, like Garrick said. Go ahead.
Yeah, in this play, I think they have it replayed 3 times here. This was his big strip sack of the Georgia quarterback. But you could see his burst off the edge when he goes to pursue him, where the linebacker speed and agility is there. This is the same play again. You'll see him over on the side of the screen. And he's going to go match the speed. I think he's going to be more defensive line. And I think in Patricia's scheme, you saw Arvell Reese lined up at outside linebacker a lot. You saw that Caden Curry role. I think he's going to fit in there somehow. I don't know if he's truly going to be the stand-up linebacker for us, and I don't know if we need him to. But you saw right there, great shed and stack. There's a lot on tape on this kid if you want to dive into it on the interwebs like I did. But this seems to be the best tape I could find on him. There's the turnovers you speak of. And another one, I'm saying we're finding a gem. These are going to be starters, and in worst case scenario, depth pieces. Yeah, even the receiver we got the other day, God forbid we lose a receiver, he'll step right in with all that experience and get you through a couple of games. So same thing I'm seeing here.
This kid is really talented, man. And if you listen to his bio, when you play at Ohio State and Alabama, if you get hurt, you can get Wally pipped, man. That happens. Doesn't happen at every program. But the guy that went in for last name Pierre, I can't pronounce his first name, blossomed. So that one's really interesting. Boy, if they hit that one. I also like the fact that they've chosen Ohio State, given the way the defense performed. I don't think there's any small measure of the fact that you got so many Ohio State guys projected for the first round. So if you're going to leave Alabama and go somewhere else for finishing, it's got to be better than one might expect. All right.
That just blows my mind that Alabama kids, because wasn't Alabama and Ohio State like 2 of the top teams in the country? It's not like we're getting defects from the bottom of the SEC. I mean, it just blows. This whole free agency thing is just, yeah.
Well, it's kind of like, I don't know if anyone's ever been in charge of looking at resumes or something, and you say, oh, I just want to know the person. I don't care what they did. You get a resume with someone who has an Ivy League education, and you're like, they've been through the ringer, so you know they can do a certain amount. There's no difference than if you've been to Alabama, that's an Ivy League education. I guess a highly qualified individual. Go ahead, Mark.
I guess when I saw like the headline, we get Alabama transfer, I'm like, what backup from Alabama is defecting? You know, like who is leaving that place to, try to get 2 starters, 2 guys that are on the, like putting major snaps in for multiple. I mean, are you kidding me? It just doesn't make sense. And, I don't want to put any shade on us, but like we're last week talking about, the portal, how many guys could possibly be available of the 4,000, maybe 20. And we have no idea who they are. Oh, they're from Alabama. Like you're saying, that resume.
But that's what I was saying. Yeah. That's exactly what I was saying.
Yeah, don't worry. There'll be someone, and we'll be happy. And so if you want to fret all weekend like some of you did, I wasn't. I just knew that the Mulligan program, even though they're not Ohio, I think that Mulligan program is just going to be something so consistent until guardrails are put in place.
There's a general mulligan program. It's not quite as productive as what I like to call the Ohio mulligan program that I'm going to trademark at some point. I hope people understand this. Ohio State is established as a brand or a destination as you can get. We agree on that. There's 15, 20 schools like that. This is the NFL now. There are salary slots here. If you want to go to the best schools, there's 20 of them. There's salary slots, and you either fit in there or you don't. What it means is you may not get the fifth guy. Like, we may not be able to convince the second great safety from Ohio to play for Old Town High, okay? The first one is coming for sure, though, because he's getting paid a ridiculous amount of money to stay home or do whatever. So we're always going to be good at the top. The question is the second 40, and that's going to be the question for everybody going forward. But there's going to be no issue with Ohio State at the top. All right. I want to talk about the Duke safety transfer now because I think this is the hidden gem of the entire class. This is the one that lets me know Mark Pantoni and those guys are playing chess, not checkers. I think he might be the most talented guy we got. Now, I realize that sounds outlandish, but if you look at his pedigree, he is a prototype, man, and he has been very productive now. I'm like everybody else. When I see Duke football, I'm like, I don't trust Danny Hurley in coverage. You know, you got to get over that. Garrick, let us know about him. Tell us about him, his name, everything, because this guy, to me, is the gem.
So why we're calling him a gem and not a star is because Terry Moore has not taken a snap since the 2024 season because he suffered a season-ending injury in the bowl game and took a medical redshirt, didn't take a snap at all this year. But it's like that miracle quote from Herb Brooks in that movie. Did you ever see him when his game was on? In 2024, this guy was the highest graded safety across all of the Power Four per Pro Football Focus. He had an overall grade of 90.1, which is considered astounding, elite. Mm-hmm. And he allowed a passer rating of 46.1 in coverage. Now, this is your traditional, like, deep safety. I think he's not going to be a nickel. He's going to be back defending the deep third of the field. But in that 2024 season, he started all 13 games for Duke, finished the year with 4 interceptions, 6 pass breakups, 71 total tackles, 7 tackles for a loss, and a sack. So if you want to establish potential star to dream on, if this guy is healthy and even 85 to 90% close to what he was in 2024, Ohio State's getting a guy that has a ceiling to be the best safety in the country.
So here's another thing I do. How you recover from injuries really has become, and Mark, you can, how you attack the rehab. Some guys don't, some guys do. I think medicine has gotten to the point now where if you are diligent in attacking your rehab, provided you don't have a catastrophic injury, you can come back. Guys who go to Duke, it's not that easy to get into Duke, even if you're a football player. They're the smarter, diligent types. I'm sorry. This guy definitely attacked his rehab. I have no doubt about that. And we're going to get his best punch. Now, when you come back from injury, it's always a little bit of a crapshoot. Mark, is this his video?
Yep, it's ready to go.
Rock and roll.
Now, I can't believe you guys left this out, but you know how we know so much about this guy, right? Where did Matt Greery come from? Who coached this guy?
Duke, yep.
You know, who knows more about him than anybody else in the staff room?
Who's the guy trust?
Yeah, I mean, so as soon as I saw Duke, I'm like, well, this is a home run. I mean, the guy who, bred this is already in our staff room ready to do it. You're going to watch this play 5 times, okay? Because the beginning of this highlight film, they put in every replay, every celebration, every angle, this. And you can tell right here what an athletic kid. It's like one of those things in one play. Dan, when you said that, like, this is your favorite guy and he might be the steal, I'm like, when I watched that film and prep for this, I kind of got a vibe where, like, man, that's a Duke safety. Like, he looks like he's really good. And then I didn't know Garrick's history on the PFF grade. And, it's all coming together right now for me, boy. He's a karate kid. I mean, what is there not to like? But
also,
right.
Mark, he got hurt in the bowl game. So that's a weird time to get hurt. You know what I'm saying? Not everyone's paying attention. You kind of like, maybe he was even going to go in the draft or whatever. And that also gives you that full break of a year to come out. So it's almost like a mulligan year, as we use that word again. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, I mean, that's what I'm saying. And Matt Guerrieri knows the story. Like, he knows exactly how close he is. And there's two plays there already where you see the range at safety. I mean,
Malik Hooker.
Yeah, get excited about this one. So, maybe we have something better than we even had on our, field last year at safety with this kid coming over. And you're right. Any injury now, the Achilles, the ACLs, you all come back and you're fine. It may take 12 months or 16 months or something, which the bowl game to this year, by the time we see him, he's got almost 2 years under his belt of full recovery. But he looks like he's an athletic cover safety. I bet you he could roll up in the slot just by what I'm seeing here. This looks like it's highlights from pretty much a game or two from last year. These YouTube highlight cut-ups are not always done the best or give you the full picture. But yeah, if this turns out here, this raises Matt Guerrieri's stock along with this player's stock, because and that's what you want in these portal things, is where you have an in or you have a hook or some type of line into someone, and they probably didn't have to pay through the roof for this guy. I'm sure he was happy to come from Duke to Ohio State, and I like Duke on the resume the same way I like Harvard on the resume.
Yep. He looks the part too, by the way. Yeah. Wide shoulders, got real burst to him. Also, keep in mind when you're playing at Duke, your corner help's not as good either. So, I mean, everything around him is going to be better. Better pass rush, better corners, make for better safeties. Believe me, when you don't have a pass rush, you get exposed. Dallas Cowboys. All right, let's talk about Garrick. I want you, before we go on to the other transfers, this wasn't their only safety transfer that's happened since, and that was early, but Earl Little Jr. hopped on board, and I heard you say you think Moore's going to be a starter. Jalen McLean is also back. How do you see that working out? Or do you see it as just kind of a trio rotation, or almost like you starting three safeties where they kind of do with Caleb Downs at times?
Well, I think Earl might play nickel, quite frankly. I think that Earl might be your nickel. He might replace Lorenzo Styles. Obviously a ball hawking type of guy with 4 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles last year. That would be my guess. Obviously, I got to get eyes on him in spring football. And also, I'm curious to see how Jay Timmons looks, because the incoming from Ohio State, the top 50 recruit, because that's a guy I'm really excited about potentially taking over that nickel spot. But, in terms of Earl Little, I would say that my initial projection for him right now is to play nickel and have, McLean and Moore as your 2 deep safeties.
That's pretty darn good. I would evaluate Earl Little. I don't want to say it nice. I would rather have Earl Little than Lorenzo Styles at nickel. No offense to the Styles family. They've been an unbelievable family for the Buckeyes. Just calling it straight there. All right.
We can play some Earl Little if you would like.
We'll play some Earl Little? Okay.
Yeah. This first play, you're going to see him come up at safety. And this is the first time I'm checking him out. This will be the 6th video of the day here we're going to show you. But, yeah, that's a nice fill there for number 0 coming up from the safety spot. That was very linebacker-esque. And just like we saw in the last round, he looks like a grown man. I mean, that is a body at safety that has a linebacker feel to it. And if you saw Patricia this year, how many times did he have Caleb Downs in the box, McLean in the box, and not just in the box, lined up a Will linebacker or even Sam linebacker? So just the size of this kid, I think he's going to give Patricia that option. Man, that's pretty athletic weaving through there. He's got like a little bit of a tailback running back thing to him, some strong legs. Like the traits I just saw in 2 plays are pretty exciting. So we can go on to the next guy, but there's a little.
No, but Earl Little, by the way, I said this yesterday, only player on Florida State defense to get any postseason accolades. He was 2nd team All ACC. He was one of their representatives at media days. Transfer from Alabama, so he fits the profile physically. I'll even say this, and I've told people this: no one's a bigger draft nerd than me. I did a mock draft a week ago for the Cowboys, and I picked Earl Little in the 5th round. Not going to happen. He's going to be on the Buckeyes, which is even better. Next up, Garrick, who we going to? He was a captain.
We will talk about tight end Hunter Wilson, and
take it away.
Yes. So I think I'm going to say this in the most endearing way I can. Hunter Welsing is the most Indiana player possible. And I say that with all the love in the heart and most endearing way to say it. And what I mean by that, by most Indiana player ever, is that he's been around forever. This is a guy whose first year of college football was in the 2020 season. So this is a guy entering his 7th year. So this guy he's probably going to be 24 or 25 years old. I don't know specifically how old he is, but it's adhering to a little bit to the Indiana strategy of get old in college football. So this is he spent his a really good year at Northwestern last year. He emerged as a legitimate offensive weapon for the Wildcats. He recorded career highs across the board, finishing the season with 28 receptions, the third most for the Wildcats, 296 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Buckeye fans will love to hear this. His most notable performance came against Michigan. He hauled in 4 catches for 81 yards, a career high. And as you remember, Ohio State also brought in former Ohio tight end Mason Williams. So Hunter is also going to be asked to contribute in the passing game and receiving game, but also do some inline blocking and set the edge. And he's going to provide an intriguing option for Keenan Bailey's tight ends room. The NFL deadline to announce your declaration for the NFL draft is Wednesday. I would assume that Ohio State taking 2 tight ends in the transfer portal kind of says that the writing is on the wall and that Max Clear will probably go to the NFL draft. If he doesn't, Ohio State will certainly not complain and they'll love to have him back. But I would say that if they're taking 2 tight ends out of the portal, you can probably read the tea leaves that he's probably headed to the NFL draft, but we'll just have to see within the next 48 hours. But I was going to make the joke, and to hell with it, I'll do it. Hunter has been around so long. I don't know if he's going to line up for Ohio State or Mark Porter is going to come out of retirement to play another year of eligibility, former Kent State tight end, Grand Poobah. So they will both have plenty of wisdom on the football field this year.
Mark, you could chip the guy. Yeah, you can chip.
Yeah,
I
can help an offensive tackle in the first 2 seconds of the play, get settled in there.
Double team, and hop on someone's shoulder there. Go ahead.
Yeah, and you know what? This is funny. Like I'm 6'3", 235 when I played, and I joked that when I see tight ends, I'm like, if you're as big as me, you're not going to play tight ends in 2025. Tight ends like that are from 30 years ago. This is that type of tight end, though, from 30 years ago. He's 6'3", 235. He's not your long tight end. When you pull up his highlights here, well, I'm sorry, I didn't pull it up for you. Like, he didn't have many. I told Dan, there's not much of this kid. I think he had a couple of touchdown catches this year, and maybe there's one play of highlight films him. So we had to go back to his high school highlights when he signed at Northwestern. Here, you'll pull it up. And he's going to give us that H-back feel. I wouldn't be surprised if he was a fullback. When you watch him run over this kid, you're going to say, yeah, that's fullback-esque. So he's going to be a utility belt player where he's an H-back. He moves well. 23 receptions or 29 receptions isn't setting the world on fire, but see the explosion there for a smaller guy. It's more of the Harold Fannin that just came out of Bowling Green. He might have more of that type of body. He's not a longer guy. Fannin's not one of those 6'5" Kyle Pitts tight ends. He's doing it as a smaller, faster receiver type. So you might see some traits like that, a Kyle Juszczyk or something, the receiving ability, the blocking ability. I'm trying to talk him up here, but the experience is what you're getting. It's so crazy that's kind of the new philosophy to bring guys like that in. Here's my only concern is you bring 2 tight ends in, you lose a couple of the NFL. The guys like Nate Roberts and, Brody Lennon, some of these guys that you already lost Thurman. I think in spring ball, there might be more writing on the wall where the 3rd and 4th guy, they may want to hit the eject button.
Nate Roberts isn't going anywhere. He was playing as a true freshman. He ain't going anywhere.
Well, the other guys maybe he trumps one of these guys and one of these guys hits the eject button, but you just put some heat in that tight end room where there's some competition. And we were playing 5 tight ends early in the year last year. We know how to use these guys. Like I said, they're utility belt players. They do a lot of different things in our offense.
And like you said, we cannot say this enough. He's old. And anyone who watched Akeem Mesidor play at 24 years old in the it's just, if you 24 versus an 18-year-old, I don't care how good you are, man. You haven't paid any taxes. There's other jokes to be made there, but let's just say you can go through a lot by the time you're 24 that you haven't seen when you're 18. And a lot of it lands in your rump. Let's just be honest. All right, who we got left? I'm running out of names.
The quarterback.
Yeah, one left. It's not a very exciting name, but we'll talk about it nonetheless. Do you fellas remember a guy by the name of Tristan Gebbia?
Gebbia, sure.
Gebbia, yes.
Is he related to Gunnar Hoke?
Yes. Anyway, that's a former transfer portal quarterback that probably Ohio State fans will only remember if you play a trivia game one day. Nonetheless, Ohio State landed a Maryland quarterback named Justin Martin. He's probably the least exciting addition of the five, only because Justin comes in and he has virtually no path to playing time in the 2026 season, barring injury or catastrophic regression from Julian Sayin. And I would even be surprised if he beats out Tavian St. Clair to be Julian Sayin's backup. But this is a guy that will have 1 year of eligibility remaining, possibly 2, because I believe he's trying to seek a medical hardship. So I believe the incentive for him to come here is learn under Ryan Day, obviously a quarterback whisperer, and then hopefully compete for a starting job either here, probably not likely, or enter the name in the portal one more time under a year of learning under Ryan Day and go. The benefit of bringing a guy like that in is that he's been in college football for 4 years, 1 at Maryland, 3 at UCLA prior to that. Hasn't played a whole lot at either school, but he's been in a lot of systems. He's seen a lot of things, and he could be a good resource for both Julian and Tavian and Luke Fahey, the incoming freshman quarterback, to rely on and learn from. The one fun thing about him from an on-field perspective is that he's got a really fun, really big frame at 6'5", 230 pounds. So if you need a guy that's going to get you a yard on a QB sneak, this is a guy that I might want to sign up for. So again, we're not going to have any film breakdown in this guy. Frankly,
No, I got some film.
No, now you've done that comment. People are going to think he was brought in just to run the sneak, given the fact who our starting quarterback is.
Let me do this kid. Let me do this dude some justice. He's a dude. Like, you're right. I think he's 6'4", 220. He's 6'5", 230 when he goes to Maryland. I have his UCLA stuff right because he only played 1 game at Maryland. You got to go into this tape a little bit. I don't think we're going to get there, but he fires some shots. He's athletic. This is every play from this game that he played. So, you saw the fumbled snap, but this is capable. I would have liked to have seen this kid go to Ryan Day right out of college and get a couple years of grooming or whatever. He reminds me of some other players. Like, we don't want to have to say Julian Sayin's going to regress or whatever, but I tell you what, Tavian, you got an experienced guy here who's, got some of the same tools Tavian has. Tavian and him stand next to each other. They're going to look good. I was hoping when we brought in a quarterback, there's been a lot of complaint like, oh, we need a mobile guy. I'd like to see a second guy that was almost Wildcat-esque, that when he went in that you had to practice for him. You see this guy run, he's not going to, kill you with his feet. Is he better than Haskins or, certainly some of the other quarterbacks like that, or CJ Stroud? He looks like he's a little more mobile than that, but a talent to certainly work with. And, if you got the spring ball to work with them and something should happen in the middle of the year.
Pretty good coverage there by Penn State.
I'll be interested to see how Tavian holds him off, and I would give Tavian the advantage. Like, Tavian's going to be here for a while. He's the one they've been grooming, but not a bad piece. I'm sure he came in for a nickel.
Is this season?
This is 2 seasons ago. This is at UCLA. And that's what I'm saying. Like, he's got that experience.
It is Penn State. I mean, they're obviously working him a little bit, but yeah, he's got some experience. I'm serious. Now that we said that, he might be your your intentional, what do we call sneak guy? Your tush push candidate. This is what I was thinking when you said that. Legend Bay. I would bring him in and put him in every Wildcat situation you need to. That is going to be some fun stuff to watch. For those who don't know, Legend Bay is the Texas phenom quarterback / athlete, classic athlete, return guy who had a very interesting recruitment. Not sure his family support was where it needed to be, but all's well that ends well, and he'll be in Columbus. But he's a guy to look at in terms of electricity. Is that all 5?
Yep, that's all.
So it was all 6.
Good Lord. And there's probably a 7th now that we started the show, but we'll get to that. Let's talk about some low-hanging fruit questions that are out there. I'm going to go rapid fire on you here, Garrick.
Sure.
Offensive lineman Jordan Seaton, the left tackle at Colorado, has entered the portal. He was a guy we looked at extensively. He's a fine District of Columbia native. I thought he was overrated and I heard some questions about his character. Turns out he's a stud. That said, I don't believe Ohio State's going to go after him. Garrick, do you think I'm wrong?
I'm sure they'll do their due diligence on the guy and probably sniff around, but I already know that the bidding is going to get so out of control for a guy of that caliber. And the other thing that even before he entered the portal is that I know Ohio State fans aren't going to want to hear this, but I'm not sensing a huge need to make further additions or upgrades on the offensive line, assuming that everybody comes back like they're expecting to. Could there be a depth addition here or there? Sure, but I just don't really get this. I get the sense that they really like their guys that they have coming back. They believe them, and I know that the season ended poorly there, but I think they really like what they have up front, and they are willing to build upon it for a year from now. Anyway, that's a long-winded way of saying I don't think that Jordan Seaton is going to be an Ohio State Buckeye. I would certainly take the field over Ohio State right now. Now, maybe there's some money under the cushions that I'm not aware of, and they really like the guy and they get involved here. But when I first initially saw him come in, I was like, oh man, I know we're going to get questions about him. And I would certainly be surprised if they don't at least make a call, gauge some interest. But I would be very surprised if he ends up coming to Ohio State.
All right, sir.
Certainly a stud coming out of high school. He was one of those guys like Brandon Baker and one of the other ones we fascinated about. He was so athletic. I think he's a money guy. I think that's all that this is about right now. I think that's why he went to Colorado, and I think he sucked them dry. And I think one of their boosters was alluding to a guy like him, like, I'm not paying these guys to see them go one and done or two and done on me. And, that's pretty much what's going on here. And I wouldn't be surprised if you saw him in the portal again next year, and I don't want to throw shade on him, but that's the vibe I get here. And Ohio State doesn't bring that circus into their locker room very often unless they really deem it necessary.
This is not going to go over great, but I think Ohio State is higher on their offensive line than the fans are on Ohio State's offensive line. Garrick, do you agree with that?
Completely agree. Yes.
Okay. So whether you agree with that or agree with me and Garrick is a separate issue from whether it's going to – that's what I think is going to happen. Keep this in mind, and we talked about this a little bit yesterday. If you're bringing back, theoretically, 10 starters on offense, you're not going to get a lot of high-profile transfers to come play offense for you because they're not going to start. Who would want to transfer to Ohio State as a backup unless there's a clear plan for like the quarterback or, the tight end? That's obvious. Those are backup-type positions where a lot of guys get burned or, quarterbacks on a completely different track. This one I would have to see to believe. Now, we are not in a time when any statement should be written in ink. The getting more at safety. Nobody heard about that. I don't care what anyone tells me now. I should have been able to figure that out by looking in Guerreri's past, like Mark said. But we didn't hear anything about that. Yep, and this is Steve, is what I thought. Did they watch the offensive line against Miami? They did. I think they get all 5 guys back, plus some reserves. By the way, and this is important, that's another year in the weight room. For example, I think the main, like Julian Sand and Mick Marotti are going to be joined at the hip this offseason. There's no skill level for Julian to get. He just needs to get thicker in his butt. Same for the offensive line. A year for an offensive lineman and a year of age makes a big difference. Mark, do you agree?
I answered it like this in my chat so everyone can visualize it. You guys have all played Madden, and you've all gone into the Madden ratings, and you see strength, the awareness, agility, speed. And there's like 15 categories, and the player gets an overall rating. And if you go in there and cheat, you slide some of those things up a few points, and you see the overall rating go up a few points. That's Mariotti's job. He's the Madden rating adjuster. As these guys go in the weight room, if they get a little bigger, faster, stronger, get a little more aware, and across the board, everyone's Madden rating goes up. You see how they progress in the offseason. You've done a season and simulated and progressed your team, and that's all you're looking for is who got my team got better. That's essentially what you're doing with the offensive line. And I think you deem, every player 10% better, 15%, 12%, 8%, whatever it is, 20%. Okay, some guys make some jumps. Like a Sam Greer is a guy I think can make a 20% jump, which is insane, but I think that's how long his body is and how much room there's to fill out, et cetera. But I think all these guys, you fast forward the next year, none of them are staying the same. So you're going to get better than what you had this year. And I would point to the second half of the Miami game when they went out and just punched them in the face and carved them up right down the field. And it looked like the line you wanted. And I attribute that, and I'm not making excuses, but 25-day layoff, a scout team that doesn't fly around like that Miami defensive line. And, oh shoot, you got caught off guard in the first half, okay, before your motor was started. So I think we take the second half of Miami offensive line, progress it, and there's why you see the happiness in coaches that we're satisfied with who we have.
It doesn't feel any better, but if you look at the teams that are in the championship, and those are the teams you lost to, solace probably isn't the word I'm looking for, but you can just pan back and look at the games Ohio State played against them versus the other teams and assess yourself where they stand.
And I also don't think there's a magic bullet out there where there's players in the portal that are significantly better than what we have. The Jordan Seaton's coming up because he's supposed to be, but he comes with, a little baggage maybe. So, is a little bit better of a player going to, come in and shake the, things up too much? But yeah, these offensive linemen do not grow on trees. I was just telling my kid today, the Chargers were playing with their third and fourth offensive tackle, fifth offensive tackle all year. It doesn't set up for success no matter who you are. These offensive lines that get beat up, I think that it's such a hard position to fill. So in that portal, there's not just magic bullets where, you're just going to stay pat with ours. I just don't think there's anyone better than ours.
It's also why I think you're going to see, and what we've seen since Tyler Bowen arrived here, is lots of development on the offensive line. You take Ohio is a beautiful place to be for that. You take an extra few guys each class and try to develop them because they're scarce. And offensive line's been so interesting. I mean, I go back to Donovan Jackson. Who thought Donovan Jackson was going to be the left tackle when we won the national championship? You could have won a lot of money in Vegas betting on that. That wouldn't even been on the books. So let's trust in the coaching a little bit here. And I also agree that with this, I think Ian Moore will be our left tackle, and I'd like to see Austin Searville move back to guard. That would be a perfect combination. Philly Daniels with another year of experience. Okay.
Luke Montgomery's been as solid as anybody.
What do you think about that, Mark?
Yeah.
Richie Dub says, Dan, the entire line regressed under Bowen. Do we have concerns about that? I think let's give the guy the benefit of the doubt here. He's been here for one cycle. And he's shown he can recruit. So I'm not really worried about that. Mark, your feelings?
Yeah, boy, that's a lot of blame to shift to that position based on a field goal, that
right.
In 2 games that would have changed, the outcome and the perspective. No doubt that there is tape on that offensive line struggling in a few things. But did you watch the other championship? Did you see what Indiana did to that offensive line? Okay.
Mangled them.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to make the point. These offensive linemen don't grow on trees. I said we don't have 5 Orlando Paces, nor will we. We will never have 5 Corey Stringers. That's what you need to make people on the message boards happy. That impenetrable wall where guys just go with one arm and just like the cartoon guy. He's just running his feet, and we're just no, you're not coming in. That's not realistic football. We got human beings that play a very human game, and they're going to get beat, and they're going to get beat next year. We're going to have tape on the Buckeye in the sky of a guard getting blown by or a tackle. It just there's too many snaps in a year, 600-700 snaps. I know, and I'm not someone to make excuses. You guys know me, but you're talking about 5 guys and thousands and thousands of reps, and we're pointing to these 2 games at the end of the year. Where what are there? 5 or 10 plays that are not the greatest. Okay, watch what Miami's defensive line does, and watch what Indiana's defensive line does to their opponents coming up here.
I don't know if this is true, but Miami just offered Ty Simpson $6.5 million. Nothing would surprise me. Literally, nothing would surprise me. Keep in mind, too,
is Alabama going to get in the MAC next year if that happens? You're going to petition to play Miami of Ohio.
There's a strike while the iron is hot vibe here too. I imagine the Miami alumni are in their giving mode right now. You watch. Miami's going to get more applicants next year even to go to school there. You guys remember when George Mason made the run to the tournament?
Yep.
They had to buy the hotel in town the next year because they had so many more acceptances after that. The two people to affect college applications the most in the 80s, Doug Flutie and Patrick Ewing. So people, Krzyzewskiville, you ever been down there? There's like a tent city of people waiting to get Duke tickets of, you know who usually goes to Duke? I mean, our safety wasn't out there waiting for tickets, but there were a lot of people with disposable income out there. So it's a different deal. All right, we're going to end with this. Garrick, please tell me you've got us a kicker.
Do you want me to go learn how to kick 40-yard field goals? I don't think I can do it.
I'm at the point now where, look, after that first half 2 years ago where dude kicked 3 out of bounds, I don't remember who that was. That traumatized me to the point where, like, I've never seen anything like that. So I've been off that train since. And then as my son texted me, if we had the Ole Miss kicker, we'd be national champions. I think that's a stretch. It's not that far of a stretch. Your thoughts, Garrick?
Yeah. Getting kicker information and then more specifically what their plans are, I put in an article yesterday, has been more difficult than getting off double secret probation. But what I have gathered is that I think there is a group of guys that they like. And I know for a fact that they're going to end up with a kicker, preferably one that they view as an upgrade over Jaden Fielding. And this is just a hunch. I have a hunch that perhaps the reason they haven't struck while the iron is hot is they want to see entirely what the kicking market is like in the transfer portal. Because remember, the transfer portal goes all the way through Friday, and you can enter your name up until I think it's midnight on Friday, right? So
correct, but you don't have to commit. Can you explain that to everybody?
Correct.
Rehash that a little bit.
So too long, don't read version. If you're a college athlete, you can enter the transfer portal, meaning you're declaring your intention to leave your current program. Has to be done by midnight on Friday. Now, once you're in the portal, once you've declared that you're leaving, you can sign whenever you want with the team. There is no deadline. So if you're not in the portal by midnight on Friday, you have to do what the Wisconsin defensive back did last year and just go and roll somewhere else. If you really,
Xavier Lucas at Miami.
Yep. Not saying you can't leave your school, but you got to do it that way. You can't just declare yourself a free agent. But once you're in the portal, there is no deadline. You can take all your visits. You can drag this out for weeks if you wanted to. Now, it doesn't really behoove anyone to do that because, classes are starting and everything, and you want to get enrolled at your new institution as soon as possible. But anyway, that's all a long-winded way of saying I think they're trying to see what the entire kicking market is going to be before they really zero in on one guy. And this could be a negotiation tactic too. Like, we don't want to tip our hand on who our top guy is yet. We know we're going to get a quality kicker. Everyone on the planet knows that we need a kicker because, we read the message boards every day and there's 10 Ohio State fans every 20 minutes going, have we gotten a kicker yet? So they are very well aware that they need a kicking specialist and they need a upgrade at that position. And quite frankly, they know that it cost them a couple games this year, right? So, or at the very least, cost them points in competitive games. Anyway, that's a long-winded way of saying I know that they have a couple guys they like. Haven't gotten specifics on the names yet. I know that's frustrating, but they're keeping it very secretly tight-lipped up there. And I will end with this. They are going to get a kicker in the next few weeks. That I can guarantee. I can't guarantee you who it's going to be. I am pretty confident that it's going to be viewed as an upgrade by everybody, but I don't know who they're zeroing in on quite yet. And I don't even know if they know who they're zeroing in on quite yet. So let's get through the end of the day on Friday. Let's see what the complete kicking options are, and then let's see what where the dominoes fall from there.
And I don't need one of these guys now. Everyone in the NFL kicks it from 90 yards now. Football, you can push everybody in a pile like rugby, and you kick it from 50 yards. So I don't even know what the hell's going on. But can you just make a 40 yards and in field goal consistently? That's all I want. If you get a guy who can nail 40 and in consistently, and that by that I mean once we get into field goal range, your stomach doesn't start to hurt. You know that feeling? You're like, oh, and then the quarterback's like, should we go for it here because we can't make it's just the trickle down effect is horrible. So we need someone who can nail a 40-yarder and end.
Someone in the comments asked, when does school start? Well, for Ohio State, it started yesterday. So that's kind of the point. Like classes are already in session. You want to get these guys on campus and enrolled as soon as possible. If you miss a week or two, is it the end of the world? Probably not. But you don't want to drag this out for months because then you're missing about a month of school, which, yeah, I know some people will make fun of the whole student athlete comparison with the money now, but it's still a thing, guys. So
I'll leave you with this. By the way, Nugent lives on the same street as my college roommate. He ain't coming back. That guy has the backyard to stop traffic. It looks like Caribbean waterfalls, and shed no tears for Nuge. I saw someone mention the word tampering on there. That doesn't exist anymore. There's no such thing as tampering. Mark will even tell you this. Our guy Chaz Coleman's been getting recruited out of Penn State since the beginning of the season by the SEC. He ended up there, not even at the school that started it out. Tampering doesn't exist. You can do that. Tampering only exists when you have rules. They don't enforce those. So if you're not tampering, what is it? If you're not cheating, you're not trying. If you're not tampering, you're not trying. And I think it's clear with Ohio State what they've done. They are not all's well that ends well. Speaking of which, we have to end the show at some point. They probably got 4 or 5 more commits. We got to go do that and redouble our efforts. But we appreciate Dan, did you see your favorite Cowboy almost catch a case after my game? I'll give you a hint. His nickname ID. It's a roller coaster here for me, kids. You know that. All right. I appreciate everyone stopping by. These guys have done yeoman's work. Stay on the site. NFL declarations today and tomorrow. So lock it in. Have a good one, Nutters of Buck.